And we are live. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the weekly We Are Trans Talks. I'm your host, Sammie James, and I am back with another one of our trans faves. Please welcome the wonderful Chiron Barron. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Good. So the first thing I ask on this is for you to introduce yourself a little bit more. I specifically ask, what words do you use to describe yourself? And that can be identity-wise, but it can also be, I'm wearing a shirt that says men aren't funny. It can be whatever you interpret the answer to that question being. And after you've given that, you can give any other intro to yourself that you want to give people.
Okay. I am a white, fat, queer, non-binary, disabled, neurodivergent, mad, witch, funny person, and rabbit servant, mostly. Yeah, I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I think I covered most of it, honestly.
Yeah, cool. So I know you primarily pretty much from comedy, and I don't know the answer to this question. It's the generic stand-up question, but how'd you get into comedy? How long you been doing comedy?
So I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago now that I first did stand up. I learned stand up through a peer support group, which is kind of different. It was like you checked in with like mental health stuff at the beginning and at the end. But other than that, the entire thing was just like learning comedy. They taught us some of like the basics of joke writing. We had to keep our jokes very, very simple. And there's a huge show at like the YMCA in downtown Toronto at the end with like 300 people. So I've never performed for as many people since, I don't think. But yeah, it was different. I did the program as like a personal challenge. Like I'd seen one of their shows and I was like, oh, maybe I could do that, because it was such a supportive and like, I guess, like mad focused, mental health focused environment. So people were joking a lot about, psychiatry and medications and stuff like that. And they made you use cue cards. Like you had no choice but to use cue cards. Yeah, and we had to number them in case you dropped them by accident and you got all flustered. But yeah, so I did that, and like everyone thought I was gonna bail on the show. I had thought maybe I would bail on the show, so they made me go bullet, and I really, really, really liked it. But then the this is a long story that I probably shouldn't get into too much, but then I applied to for a job position as a peer support worker to facilitate
Mm-hmm.
that program, and they let a pretty abusive ex of mine interview me alone 2, 3 times, and then he didn't give me the job for no good reason. But anyways, that kind of like stalled me for a couple of years with comedy. And then I started to go to shows again in Toronto, just like open mics, nice open mics, feminist open mics. And I really was like, I really want to do this again. So then I enrolled in Second City, and that was also not a great experience. But
Mm-hmm.
I eventually started doing like open mics, and I've been doing comedy now, like really doing comedy now, going to open mics and being booked on shows for I think just over like 3.5 years, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, you've already become one of my favorites. So,
Thank you. You're one of my favorites too, for sure.
yay. So you mentioned other stuff in your intro that I want to make sure to ask you about, talk about, but there are two questions I ask on this show every week, and we'll start with those. What gives you gender euphoria?
I think makeup has, weirdly, like, even though I'm like AFAB non-binary, I kind of like, growing up I wore makeup, but it felt like I had to, and like it was very like, I spent a lot of time looking like I wasn't wearing makeup. I didn't want people to like notice me and stuff. And it felt, I don't know, it felt like I had to, or like people would treat me worse or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came out as non-binary, I started like actually enjoying makeup and like playing with it and being a lot more creative with it. And that has brought me a lot of joy, especially like the last year and a bit while I've been sick with like long COVID. It's been nice to like feel like I have like control over like, you know, just a tiny little section of my body at
Yeah.
times. But yeah, it also like, it's also fun. And then like, I don't know, I wish that like certain kinds of clothes fit me better, my body type. That's a bit hard, I think. Like being on the fatter side as an AFAB non-binary person, to like
Mm-hmm.
get, you know, nice button ups that actually fit well and stuff. So I'm working on that part a bit more, but yeah, I think just like starting to look at, you know, clothing and how I present myself more as like a fun performative thing versus like I have to do this thing or, you know, this will happen. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know if that made sense, but
No, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah, and I think this has become everyone on this show's favorite question to answer. What cis nonsense are you sick of?
oh my. All of it. Is that an answer? All of it, but
Yeah.
specifically like I've had friends who I've known for a couple of years who all of a sudden were like, just so you know, like I don't like the term cis. I would rather just, I'm just a regular woman and I don't like that you think of me as cis. And I was like, that's problematic. Like this idea that you're just a normal woman is very problematic, and yeah, we're not friends anymore. But stuff like
Mhm.
that, and stuff from like my family has, I don't know. I've had like a cousin who had been drinking quite a bit, called me and was like, "You can't be non-binary. I see you wearing lipstick on Facebook," and I was just like, "Oh my god." And then she was like, explain your non-binary existence to me right now, justify it. And like I was like, you're drunk, like I don't want to do this. And she was like, well, if you can't explain it to me, then maybe it's not real. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Stuff like that, like from people that I really love, I think is when it hurts the most. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's different. Like people turfs and stuff online are, I feel like, are one thing. They're very dangerous. I'm not like downplaying that, but like the personal part where it's like
Oh yeah.
people you love and care about say that stuff to you, it's really hard, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned witch in your intro. I know specifically that you have an interest in tarot. Would you like to talk about tarot a little bit? Maybe I assume I, just in case there was someone who doesn't know, maybe explain what tarot is.
Ooh, okay. I mean, so tarot is, that's a,
Did I
I'm always worried
accidentally
about
give
like
a
answering.
difficult question?
Yeah, I'm always worried about like you know, being like slightly wrong about something like this because I don't want to like provide misinformation about this.
Oh, of course.
But like my understanding of tarot is like it's a way of gaining sort of insight into certain situations in your life using this deck of cards. There are like four different suits, and then there's in the minor arcana, and the numbers generally like represent different stages in a journey. And then there's the major arcana, which I think all represent like different stages in a journey too, but I don't know. Considered, I guess. Oh, they're considered, I guess, more powerful cards, more meaningful cards
Yeah.
sometimes, and so yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, there are cards that like represent the different zodiac signs too. I do not know all of them off by heart. I know Justice is Libra and Death is Scorpio because I'm a Libra sun and Scorpio moon and rising. But
Do
the
you
rest of
know
them
what
I tend to forget.
Capricorn is? Just out of curiosity. You don't have
I
to.
don't know that one.
That's fine.
No, not yet. I'm still working on like
No, that's okay.
all the yeah, the like in tarot I'm learning it's more important to be able to like look at the deck and look at the image and sort of create your own sort of connection to that,
Hmm.
which I'm not great at doing, I will
Hmm.
admit, because I have like a deck that's not really ideal for beginners. Like it doesn't have, a lot of detail and a lot of color. It's black and gold and purple, and that's it. So it's a bit harder to like, I guess, you know, just look at the
Yeah.
card and like come up with like what this could mean. So
Yep.
yeah, nice, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had these for a couple years. It's I don't I'm not a regular user, but like every once in a while I'll
Do you find that it resonates for you, like
I,
the?
honestly, like oddly. Like like there'll be times I'm just like, you know, I don't think it's gonna help. But like just out of curiosity, let's like pull a card. And I'm like, whoa. It's just like he'll be like, hey, stop procrastinating. I'm like, what was it? Come on. Not
Yeah,
wrong. I mean, you're not wrong.
yeah, sometimes it's really like I remember a few days ago I was thinking I'd like I had like chronic fatigue syndrome from COVID, and I had a really busy week of appointments. I had like 5 appointments in a week, and like I talked to people at night, which
Mhm.
is way too much for me to be doing right now. And I kind of knew that, but I did it anyways. And then for like 2 or 3 days in a row, I kept pulling the Six of Swords, which is like a guy in a tomb resting. And also there was like there's this horrible freedom convoy thing happening in Canada where these
Uh-huh.
truckers are, yeah, it's awful. You probably heard of it. And that was going on too, and I was like struggling because I have recently found this like calm that I've never ever had in my life, and I'm a little bit protective of it. And I was like, but I also need to be here for my friends who
Yeah.
are terrified and stuff. So I was like, what do I do? And yeah, and I kept pulling that card, and I was like, I get it, like, being rude at this point. 3 times in a row, like I get it. I need to rest and
Yeah.
protect myself. That is that yeah, and so it can be very very literal sometimes, apparently, like I've learned, like the cards can just mean like someone's going to call you, or yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So I know the answer to this question, but I don't, not off the top of my head as we're talking. Where in Canada are you?
Toronto.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I was like, I know. Listen, I know so many Canadian comedians. Where you live just mixes up. I'm just like, I think
Everyone puts on posters Toronto, Canada, anyways. Like it's just like you guys think there's Canada and then there's like a few cities there, and that's it.
it's like,
It's funny to me. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very like US thing to just be like Toronto, Canada, and it's like,
like
okay, why not?
it's like, listen, I'm aware of like Ottawa's a place. Nova Scotia. I know these. I know these things.
Yeah,
Don't
I don't
ask
know the
me
US, so
like
I'm
about like the towns within them because I'm like, oh.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I should talk because like I don't really. I mean, I know where like a few states are roughly, but like
Mhm.
there's a lot of states in the US. It's hard
There
to
really are.
memorize those all when you're not from there. Like you're like, why are there so many? We only have
Huh.
9 or 10. I can't remember, but not many.
So let's see. You've been on my horror movie podcast, and we mostly talked about witchy things. But I move into fun questions at this point in the interview, and I kind of want to know, do you have a favorite cryptid or mythological creature? You don't have to.
Not really. I don't know. Like I love animals and I connect with like I don't know. Like I feel like I resonate a lot with bears for some reason. Yeah, and so I like a lot of like artwork that shows like bears and rabbits getting along because I also I
Uh,
love rabbits. I'm obsessed with rabbits. But yeah, I don't know that like a mythological one. I don't really think so.
yeah, okay. And don't I mean rabbits more than that. The next thing I was going to ask is favorite proven actual animal. And I was anticipating a rabbit conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
I like to talk about rabbits.
yeah. What is something about rabbits that you think would surprise the non-rabbit servant people?
They're way more money and work than people anticipate. They're very, very expensive. And I think the most interesting thing that I know, a little fact I know about them that I like to share is their digestive systems are actually so poorly designed that they need to eat some of their own poos, their special poos that they make
Oh
and
yeah.
eat.
Yep.
Yeah,
And they can't throw up.
yeah. Yeah, and they can't throw up. So for that reason, they are often used by atheists as an argument against intelligent design because they're so inefficient at like retaining nutrients from their food
Mhm.
that they have to do this, and yeah, they have all these problems with their digestive systems. And like, yeah, if they stop eating, it's like an emergency
Yeah.
automatically. So because they don't have muscles to push it down. I could talk about them rabbit
Yeah.
physiology all day.
How many rabbits do you currently have? Do you currently have rabbits? Because I know.
Yeah, I have one at the time for the time being. We adopted him just over a year ago.
Okay.
We're looking to get him a mate when things are a bit better financially because they are expensive.
Mhm.
But we used to have two other ones and they both passed like pretty early on in the pandemic. Well, like one of them passed and then the other one passed I think like 6 months later. But yeah, they were super old. Buddha was 13. I had him for 13 years. He was amazing. And then Flopsy was our other bunny. She was a roommate who kind of left and was like, I will still take care of her and pay for her and everything, and then largely did not. But
That's how it happens.
yeah, she was bonded with Buddha. She was blind. She had so many health problems. She was blind. She had like severe head tilt at one point, but she still lived to be 11, and they were both really happy. There were a lot of work at the end, though. Like the last couple of years, our vet was literally like, I mean, at this point, you're basically running like a senior's home for rabbits. And he wasn't wrong. Like we
Yeah.
were, it was a lot of work. We had to groom them like several times a day. We had to shampoo their bums and then blow dry it and then put on lotion because, yeah, when rabbits get old, they start peeing on themselves just automatically. Like they were over like 100 years old, well over 100 years old in like human equivalency. So like they were very, very old.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love bunnies. They're great.
Yeah, awesome. So I ask this question uh, every week on this show. What would you say is your comfort food, comfort movie, and comfort music?
Comfort food, definitely mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes. They are, well, even when I can't eat anything else, I can generally eat a lot of mashed potatoes. They're just, I don't know. I'm Irish, I think part of it's that. But also, yeah, my dad used to make them and they were great. So comfort food is mashed potatoes. Comfort movie, probably what was it, 2015 Ghostbusters or Moana. I like the Ghostbusters that everyone loves to hate because there's women in it.
It's because it's the
And
good one.
it's so good. It's so good. I haven't seen the new one yet. My partner actually, I
Me
think, got
neither.
it, but we haven't watched it yet. Uh, yeah, and then what was the third one?
Comfort music.
Comfort music, Bright Eyes. I so something recently that like since I've been in a really good mood the past couple of weeks that like I'm starting to be like maybe I shouldn't listen to Bright Eyes because it is pretty sad, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I listened to it like from high school until,
Mhm.
some point this year. That was all I would listen to really. I a few other songs here and there, but like it was pretty much Bright Eyes on main. Um, or anything Conor Oberst too, like his other bands I love too. But yeah,
Mhm.
I love Conor Oberst. I might be growing out of that though because it is very sad, and you don't always want to listen to sad music, apparently.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite questions to ask on this show. It's been a while since I've asked. What is your favorite smell? That's
This is gonna sound really weird, but like,
the
especially
weirdest
because I'm
smell.
allergic to them. But like rabbit, like they have this like really sweet, almost like hay smell to them that like they never smell bad unless you don't clean them and stuff. Then they'll smell bad. But I know a lot of people who've been like, "You have rabbits? They smell terrible." My roommate had one. I'm like, "Your roommate didn't clean up after them then because they actually smell quite nice if they have a clean litter box and
Yeah,
stuff."
because listen, that is my experience as a kid. I knew someone with a rabbit. I was like, oh my god. So
Yeah,
now I know.
yeah, they
Now I
require
know,
a
and
lot
that
of
makes
like
perfect sense.
we clean the litter box twice a day just to like stop
Yeah,
the odor
it
problem from
poops
even
in
happening.
there. Of course it smells.
Yeah, 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 and their pee smells terrible. Like I will
Mm,
admit that, but like that's why you just need to keep the litter box really clean, and then it's fine.
yeah. So, here's a question. Where'd you get your shirt?
Thank you for asking. This is my Men Aren't Funny shirt. I got it from Burn Everything Tees, which is KJ Whitehead, who's a trans comic that we both know. Um, she has this t-shirt company, and they have very funny things. I bought this like I don't know. I bought it like a year ago, I think, and I was like, whenever I feel better, I'm gonna wear this to open mics and just upset all
Yeah.
these men. Yeah, and then that's the ultimate plan. I don't know like that I'll ever I think I'll get like now I'm starting to think like I'll get to a place where I can do live shows again. I was thinking that was not gonna happen for a long time. But I'm starting to. I've made like some progress and yeah, I can't wait to, eventually wear this to an open mic with a bunch of like, incels who will get
It's like,
very mad.
prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. No one's done it yet.
Yeah, to me it's just like I don't know. There's so many like male comedians love like there was an article that came out a couple of years ago that was like study says men are funnier than women, and it was some terrible psych study where like they put like jokes written by men and women and they had people objectively write them, but like that doesn't factor in the fact that most people grew up listening to male stand-up comedians and like think that like certain topics that they talk about are funnier inherently just because of like yeah, it doesn't anyways. But yeah, they all like posted and were like, see, like and I was just like, oh my god. This is such a bad study, this is such a bad headline.
Listen, the thing is, even if that's true, which it isn't, it doesn't mean you're funny.
Yes,
It doesn't mean you're funny.
yes.
Maybe,
So yeah, to me like it's more of a response to like that kind of
yeah.
mentality where they're like, see, or like this next comic is funny, actually funny, and they're a woman somehow. And it's like that's not a good intro for anyone.
Yeah. That was early in my stand-up career. I got introduced to the show as she's trans, but she doesn't talk about it that much. I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like,
Wow.
so I was just like, well, I guess I know what I need to. I'm sorry, the entire set's gonna be that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I would just go up and do all trans
I'm
jokes
like,
after
I'm
that.
really so. And at that point, I didn't even have that much. Like, I was like, yeah, that is true, but like,
Such a weird intro. Why would anyone think that that was appropriate? Wow.
Like, I'm like, I feel like if okay, and that was, I mean, that was like 8 years ago at this point. That was like,
Wow.
no, it was no, it was 6 years ago because I don't think I like wasn't openly trans in stand up 8 years ago, but it was like not long after being out openly. It's like, yeah. So,
Wow.
here's a question. I like to end with this. Other than the amazing KJ Whitehead, who everyone should go out and support,
Yes.
who are some trans folks who you think are absolutely killing it right now? Trans folks you think are doing good work. This can be in the arts, but it can also be chefs, lawyers, activists.
Oh, so many people.
I know. It's
I
such
really
a
love,
hard question to narrow down.
yeah, like there's just so many people, but I really love Sophie LaBelle, the assigned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
she's
know.
great. I love her. um, Elliot Page, awesome. Everyone used to compare me in high school to Elliot Page, and so I think it's funny that we both ended up being trans. Uh, who
Yeah.
else? Laverne Cox, always, like, I love Laverne Cox so much. I love
Mhm.
Jonathan Van Ness. Alok. So many, like River Butcher, Ray Spoon. So many, and then there's more people who I know, like, more personally
Yeah.
too, who are just awesome, like
Yeah.
Katie, Emma Cohen,
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, just so many.
Yeah.
Dahlia, very, very funny. Uh,
Mhm. Yeah. You you mentioned River Butcher. It's like, I mean, he was a favorite comedian of mine so like long before he came out as trans.
yeah, me too.
It's just like always I've just been like
Do you remember the bra, the bit about like having only one bra and like having no? I was like, they had a he had a bit where they're about, like, I think
I think
uh
I know what you're talking about. I
yeah,
absolutely.
like I'm wealthy, I'm reasonably successful. Why do I only own two bras? I have like my main bra and then there's just like the backup one for when I'm washing. That one, I don't know, that bit always sticks with me. It
Yeah,
was so
and it's
funny.
I mean two. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that bit is so funny. I love that one. I listen to that one a lot.
Okay. And speaking of supporting amazing trans people, how can people support you? How can they find you on the internet, on social media, if you want them to be able to do that? And, if you have anything coming up, anything you want to plug, uh, this is your time to plug away.
All right. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Chiron Barron. I have an OnlyFans, which is new,
Cool.
and really fun. I'm really liking it. That is, it's like mixtape, so like mx.tape. Uh, that's super fun. I'm really enjoying doing that right now. I want to start doing my Animal Crossing comedy show very soon again. I hadn't been well for a long time. So that's going to start up soon, and that is called Nook Smiles Ticket. So there's like Nook Miles Ticket in the game. We called it Nook Smiles Ticket because it's like a ticket for a comedy show. Very clever. And what else? I have a makeup Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah, you
YouTube.
do.
Yeah, I haven't been making videos lately. I've been focusing on rehab for a while, but I have that. It's Mix Makeup Witch. Again, MX is the, what do you call that? Honorific, whatever. Yeah. And I think that's about it. Oh, I have a Moonbun Tarot on Instagram too, but that's just me kind of learning tarot still. Like I just post like one a day and reflect on the card a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, those are all the places I think you could find me, and TikTok. Just TikTok is I think Chiron Barron too. I don't know if I changed it yet. I just changed my name.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chiron, thank you so much for talking to me today. This was a blast. I hope you had a good time.
I did. Thank
And
you.
thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching this amazing conversation. We will be back next week with another wonderful conversation with one of our trans faves. But if you can't wait a whole week to do something with We Are Trans, well, tonight being February 12th, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, We Are Trans is having our final themed monthly show before we go on to this, it just being the same show every month, which you'll find out what that show is if you go to this show or pay attention to our social media after. Um, but tonight, it being February, it being 2 days away from Valentine's Day, our theme is trans love stories. It is an amazing lineup of storytellers that I am so excited for. And that is at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tickets are still available on Eventbrite. Uh, and I hope to see you at that. I hope to see you at the next wonderful trans talks. But until next time, take care of yourselves.